Welcome back. Welcome back. And we continue on with these panels. My name is Laia. I am your host today. And like I told you before the break, you see how we started? I know you're thinking, where do you go from there? To dope black women. That's what we do. Yes. All right. So are y'all ready for this next panel of amazing dope queens? All right. I know I got loud because it's about to be black women. The name of this next panel is Women, the Intersection of Women and Black Music. Women leading, developing new platforms in music, technology, and sports. And the phenomenal woman leading this conversation is the reason a lot of us are here today, and especially looking as good as we do. I want to give it up to NAMAM's very own Vice President of Brand and Partnerships. Give it up for Tawisha Rogers Simpson, and her shoes. Give it up for Tawisha Rogers Simpson and her shoes.
Thank you. Hey, everybody. How y'all doing? Yeah, y'all ready? Shoes, are you ready? Okay, all right. So I am so excited to be here. I'm so happy to see you all here. I'm going to go ahead and take this seat so y'all can look at the shoes. Yeah. Okay, so I'm excited to be here, and I'm just honored to moderate this panel. It's one very near and dear to our hearts here at the museum. So without further ado, I'm going to bring out the rest of these lovely ladies. First and foremost is Head of Talent and Artist Relations. Please join me in welcoming Miss Whitney Gail Benta to the stage. Woo! She's also my soror. Give it up. Hey, sis. And then next we have founder of Black Dot LLC, Miss Patricia Fields. Give it up for Miss Patricia Fields, also known as Miss Pat. Join me here. Yes, ma'am. Next, we have the Vice President of Community Impact for the Tennessee Titans, Miss Tina Tuggles. Give it up for Tina. Look at those shoes, though, y'all. We came out here we came to slay. Not to play, but to slay. Okay? And last but not least, finally, friend to the museum and friend to me, Grammy-nominated hip-hop icon, actress and entrepreneur, Yolanda Yo-Yo Whitaker. Come on now. Look at you. Again, we ain't come out here to play. We came to slay. Okay? Slay all day. All right. So, you guys ready to get started? Okay, so as I said earlier, this is a panel dear to our heart because here at the museum, we're all about untold stories, especially when it comes to African American culture. And one of those stories is the story of women. So if you haven't had an opportunity to go through the museum, please do. But what you'll notice when you go through is a thematic around strong women in music business, artists, those who are behind the music. It's in every gallery. It's not hidden. It's there. One of my favorites is actually one of Yolanda Yo-Yo, as we highlight women hip-hop artists in the message. And so the reason we're having this conversation today is because the impact of women is always been. But what we're noticing as we're kind of going through the new century and as time is expanding is that our voices are starting to be heard a lot, and we're in places and spaces that people do not expect us to be in. So with that, and without further ado, I want to just kind of jump into some of these questions so you get to know some of these women up here. And when I say places and spaces, we have Tina. I'm going to let you maybe kick it off and tell us a little bit about what you do. What you may or may not know is she is the first African American woman who ever worked with player relations in the NFL. So can y'all give her a round of applause for that?
Thank you.
Okay. She could be around all them sweaty men and tell them what to do. Okay. And they should have had you a long time ago. But can you share a little bit about yourself, what you do, and just why that is just so groundbreaking?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I said to my friend earlier today, I feel honored to be here. I almost don't feel worthy because it's just been such a phenomenal, like the first panel discussion was amazing. I almost brought tears to my eyes because I just learned so much. And I think that that's what my life has been about, putting myself in situations with people who have so much to share, and I want to soak it all in, right? And then my responsibility when I get that information is to pay it forward in hopes of inspiring someone else to find their greatness. But so thank you for that. But I'm Tina Tuggle. I'm Vice President of Community Impact with the Tennessee Titans. I've been with the organization now for 25 years. and I've been in a plethora of positions while there. But the one that I'm probably most proud of is being the first woman, African American woman, to hold the position as Director of Player Development several years ago. Thank you very much. That position had been traditionally held by men, particularly former players. And I don't know if you guys know this, but I never played football, right? So when I learned about it and was excited about it and felt like it was a position that I could thrive in, and expressed interest, I was told no. I wasn't told no once. I wasn't told twice. I was told no 3 times. But my mom, I was given the opportunity to be surrounded by women with so much wisdom, as many of us are, that continue to inspire me and help me determine what my why looked like. And I never gave up. And then out of the blue, God called me. I say that as the general manager called me and said, "Are you still interested? Because we would love to have you." And there were many people in the building thought that I would fail immediately because, again, it was not a position that was traditionally held by women. And within the first year of being there, I won the best department in the league. So just a little bit about who I am, and I'm sure we'll get to talk more, but thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely, and you are in company, and you are overworthy. You are a trailblazer, and that's what this is about. So welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome home, as we would say. And then I'm going to now turn to another trailblazer to get a little bit about you, Yo-Yo. And so, same a little bit. If you don't know, we're going to know a little bit about her. And can you share, as a pioneer in the hip hop space, especially on the West Coast, in a male-dominated industry, can you just share a little bit about yourself, your history, and how you were able to break through in what you've done?
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me, and to the NAMAM entire crew. It's such an honor to be here. I started out in the early 90s out of South Central Los Angeles, the protege of Ice Cube, and there was, I think, a few female artists from the West Coast that was pretty much doing it. I started at 17. I didn't know what radio station was going to play our music. I never knew what demographic we were speaking from. I was a young girl, fresh out of Washington Preparatory High School, out of South Central. And hip-hop was fairly new on the West Coast. Early 90s, fairly new. We had NWA, Ice Cube, of course. We had a lot of different male artists, not a lot of females. We looked up to, I looked up to Salt and Pepper. I looked up to Roxanne Shante, the real Roxanne, when she came in and dissed UTFO. It was a lot of men dissing women at that time. So when I met Ice Cube, it was, for me, the respect, trying to earn that respect as a woman and be the voice for women, especially out of South Central Los Angeles, where a lot of stuff was going on. We had, at that time, we had crooked cops. We had the battle, what they called the battle ram, that was ramming into our houses. It was a lot of prejudice and stereotype going on. So in music, when we were coming up, it was, I remember they called West Coast rap gangster rap. So to be a female, that kind of rubbed me a little bit the wrong way, because I'm like, gangster rap? We're just, I was listening to the Public Enemy. They said, we're just the news. We're just the CNN, we're just the news. So for me as a woman, I think my breakthrough was the journey, such as you saying, showing up and saying yes. My breakthrough was touring the world and realizing how powerful music really was. Introducing myself to the audience, getting to know people that I was speaking to. It changed my I'm not a role model into music has power, and lyrics matter, and the children are watching it, and it instantly changed me. I mean, I know Ice Cube was looking at me like, what? You want to do a Black Pearl album? But I saw the young girls, and I saw the community that we were reaching out to, and that was my breakthrough, because I not only wanted to be an entertainer, but I knew my purpose as a woman in the industry, and that's where my journey began.
Okay. Wow. I'm trying to carry on after that. And so that's actually a great segue because when I'm coming to you. So Whitney has been in the music industry, but one of the things I think is so dynamic is that you're now with Spotify. And Spotify has come on from a technology standpoint in music in a world where everyone's trying to get their rights and artists are a little hesitant about how they're played. So can you share a little bit more about what you do and what you do in this space? And as a black woman in this space, talent relations for such a huge company like Spotify, what was your journey? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
First of all, good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you so much. That was a great story, and I think a great segue into the work that I do. So I'm actually the global head of artist and talent relations for Spotify. My journey actually began at Def Jam Records, and what I'd like to say in terms of my career has really been to serve artists, to really be able to support them. When you think of my job is to make sure that I'm the advocate on the creative side to really support artists, to make sure that we are, whether it's paying them fairly, whether it's making sure that accommodations are fair and equal. So my team at Spotify really works to really support artists and managers. There has been a lot of controversy when it comes to Spotify, particularly because we do support the labels very well. So my team is actually there to support artists and managers to make sure that they feel like that there's not an iron gate when it comes to Spotify, that there's actually humans on the other side of the email, and making sure that they have the information to really be able to learn how to use the platform for monetization purposes. So my team is responsible for creating master classes. We just launched our first global master class live from our London office, and that is for artists that are tier 0 to tier 5, meaning like from your Billie Eilish's all the way to the person that's home on their computer and just making music, then uploading it on, to Spotify or, any other platform, but making sure that they are armed with the information on how to reach their fans. And so I think that my life's work and journey has been to support artists. I get so much satisfaction and so much joy to see an artist start almost like a little seed and then just bloom. I have so many stories about that, but I think that is, that is the joy that I really truly get. And obviously, you have artists like Yo-Yo who's on the stage, and then to know that there's like 100 other people backstage that help them get to that stage, I enjoy being that one, that person.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. And I just wanted to just spotlight that you said global. And I think that's really important because what tends to happen is when we see African American women and or men in these spaces, we automatically think you're over multicultural. You're over just black. And so I think it's really important to celebrate that all these women here, we're talking about global impact. We're talking about impact that looks like all shades and colors and sizes, and that they're sitting at the head of these tables. So I just want to celebrate that because that's really, really important. And I apologize we didn't emphasize that earlier in my London office.
Thank you.
Okay? Global. And last but not least, and I saved her for last because we're actually sitting in front of an icon, and that was actually a great segue because what people don't know about Pat, she humbly put something on here, but Pat has been in this industry, I'm not going to say how long, she's only 21, but since she was 12, but she has just had such impact personally for me because like Whitney, a lot of us are behind all of the things and making it work. And when I tell you that this woman has done amazing things and amazing people, and she continues to do so, I want you to get your flowers. Yes. Okay? I want you to get your props because they don't know what happens behind the curtain, right, when you're the Oz. And so with that, Pat, you can start anywhere you like in your career because they need to know. Just share a little bit about your journey and what you've gone through to be in this space and have what you've created today.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes, you're on the spot.
Oh, yeah, definitely put me on the spot. I mean, wow. Started out in record business, of course. Warner Brothers, no, I started at Atlantic Records, Warner Brothers, DreamWorks. And then my husband was managing Gerald Albright, Layla Hathaway, so I started working with him and doing that. And then it just morphed into event production. And then I ended up working with Marketing Opportunities in Business and Entertainment. They call them MOBI, and producing events for them. And we've been doing some great stuff every week practically with webinars on what we call MOBI Mondays. And then I'm on the Living Legends Foundation. I'm on the board of directors there. And our whole thing is preserving black music, and we're helping the people behind the scenes. It was started in 1991 by Ray Harris when he was at Warner Brothers, and he saw that there were award shows for the talent, but nobody was really honoring the people behind the scenes: radio, records, retail, the publicists, the managers, the attorneys. So he created that. And what we do is, there were a lot of people, especially back in the day, where they didn't get 401ks. And when they retired, they were just out. And unfortunately, in this business, when you're gone out of it, nobody remembers you. So what some of them, when you turn around and you find out these were the people that you were begging them to play your record, or you were, they were helping you to get your record on the radio, but then when they were out and they were on assistance, or they were going through chemotherapy and didn't want anybody to know. So we're starting to help people and provide them with financial assistance when they need it. And it's done in a very discreet way that nobody knows, and you're able to retain your dignity. So, and then we also want to have a succession plan. Our chairman, David Linton, is in the audience, and David has been doing a great job. And but David doesn't want to do this for another 20 years, so he wants to be able to know who are the young people coming along that we can help mold them and show them what we've been doing and how we've been keeping this organization going for 30 years. It's our 30th anniversary. And, so we want to be able to pass this on the way it was passed on to us. So.
Okay. Thank you. So we learned a little bit about the ladies. So I'm going to jump right into maybe a really good question. And so because we are here women and we're leading, bosses, if you will, often when we take lead, we face obstacles from gaslighting to fragile male egos. So ladies, anyone can jump in and start. How do we navigate these sort of barriers in your respective industries? Does anybody want to take that over? So basically, we know that we're leading. We know that we're out front. But we know we also have the obstacle sometimes of mansplaining or not be able to get the seat because we're not men, and sometimes we're not the right color or nor gender. And so you guys are all in dynamic roles, and you also in roles that, again, are not traditional. Can you just share a little bit of how do we navigate that? How do you help us figure out how to create that path and how to succeed?
I think for me, we've had some great women who have been leaders, such as Queen Latifah. Queen Latifah has really taken leadership when it comes to females in music and hip hop and film. Just using that platform, such as you, Wish, and bringing women on to tell their stories. The reason why we love the legends and we love Naymam at the event last night is because we highlight those who aren't getting the spotlight. We bring people up, and that's what I feel is necessary, is that, before it used to be so catty with women, and women didn't have this, they want to support each other kind of ego. It was almost, for me, I know one crab in a bucket, the men, it was one girl to each clique. And the unity for the sisters in hip hop, which you would think would be solid and big, was not. It was almost like you say hi and you're getting a shun face. You're like, oh, wait, should I have not said hi? So I think just, communicating and allowing, telling your stories, first of all, I think it starts with communicating, saying hi, introducing yourself, and the relationship building, and then bringing someone up with you. are telling the story, telling your story, inspiring others. Queen Latifah has done it. I've watched Missy Elliott, who was highly stereotyped, work behind the scenes for so long until she just decided that, I'm not staying in the back any longer. And look at her. She's at the top and doing so many wonderful things. And not only that, she's highlighting women at the same time. She doesn't feel like she's losing any points by showing her love and recognizing another woman, which when I was coming up was rarely rare. Only Queen Latifah, MC Lyte, those who you guys brought up, but this other generation that's coming up, allowing them to see leaders such as Miss Pat, who has done amazing things for all of the years of my career that I've known her. But to still see her and highlighting her, it matters. And so we just have to remember that, I believe.
I have a question. Do you remember this commercial years ago? And I don't know if it was FedEx or whatever, but there's a woman says something and nobody says anything. Then the man says exactly the same thing that she said. And everybody, oh, that's a great idea. And she said, but I just said that. He said, no, you said it like this. He said it like that. And it's like, come on. So you're always saying, okay, am I not being heard because I'm a woman? Am I not being heard because I'm black? So we've always had to go through that. So I think years ago you were quiet, you go back to your office, you rage, you tell your friend, you call somebody, say, I just have to get this off my chest. But now it's like, no, it's okay. Go and speak up. You're tired of the mansplaining, you're tired of the, microaggressions, the not being listened to, and you just start speaking up. And you do it diplomatically, and there are times, and I know I get in trouble a lot because it's like, well, you shouldn't have said that to that guy because he got his feelings hurt. I am sorry. I am sorry. I try to be as diplomatic as I can, but if it has to be said, if you were wrong, you were wrong. And I'm, but like I said, I try to be diplomatic about it.
If I might touch on something, this is a great question. I lead a team of 4 white men.
Wow.
Yeah, globally. And globally. And I can tell you, when my team was finally assembled, I panicked. I really did panic. Particularly because I didn't want to be questioned because, one, I was a woman, and then I was a black woman, and I really had to seek some coaching because I was confident in my work, but I know that I was like, this is mansplaining times 4, and how do I manage that? But what I have really instilled in my team is the fact that diverse perspective is what's going to really make us win. Mm-hmm. And I think once all 4 men were able to wrap their minds around that really quelled any of the gaslighting or the questioning, and it allowed me as a leader to be stronger. I think, music, I feel like women have a better seat at the table, but then when you add music and tech, oh my gosh, they're like, right, it goes down real quick. So I think when we are in positions of influence or leadership, it's up to us. I always say the fish rots from the head. And so I work at a Swedish company, so there's all these weird little things.
A lot here at work. It's so funny. That's
right. It's like, And so because I have that responsibility, I know that I have to lead. And I have to lead by example. Yeah. And, now my team, we gel so well. And I don't even think about that. They don't even think about it for me in terms of mansplaining. They're like, what's your perspective? What do you think about this? Because they know that I'm seeing things from a completely different lens as a black woman, also as a female. So I think when we are in these positions of leadership, don't shrink. Really, lean into it. And then I think that's what's really going to create the change in the workforce.
Wow. And so my perspective is a little different because I am in sports, right? And when you think about an athlete, there is a general manager, a head coach, a scout. They're typically, most of them, or a majority of them, are former players. And so when they are dealing with the players, they come from a perspective of understanding there's a language there, right? There's a commonality. They can speak to each other in ways that I don't necessarily have. And it goes from the general manager, professional athlete, the collegiate athlete, the high school, and on down. And they all are groomed in this system to have this language and understanding from a perspective that I don't necessarily share with them. And so when I walk in the room, I'm immediately an outsider from the fact that I'm a woman, I'm a black woman, I am a non-athlete because I don't play any sports, nor do I have a desire, or have I ever had a desire. And so I don't speak their language. So then when you think about walking into a room and you are the outsider, you have two choices, right? You can allow yourself to be seen as an outsider, or you can show them that you don't see yourself as that outsider. And so I come from the perspective of I can wear a nice man suit and put some fire shoes on and be a woman and still command control of the room.
This is good, because I heard a couple of things that I definitely want to circle back on, but the one theme I heard, I don't know if you guys heard the theme, is one, come to the table as yourself unapologetically. I heard that. I heard two, which I love, from both Pat and Whitney, is you have to find that common ground. Take me as being a woman and take me as a black woman off the table, and let's talk about results. So I think when you talk about results and put things in a perspective of, and this is what I heard you both say, of this is the work, and this is how we can make the work better so we all look good, you shift the conversation, you shift the focus. And I know it's not easy, but I think that's really, really good. Wow. And then what I heard Yolanda say, which I think the third theme was, and every woman here said, is that there is a responsibility and accountability, right? And I know that the mean girling in all of our industries are real, right? Because, they want to be the owner. There's this responsibility. And so breaking down that mean girling and having responsibility and accountability to each other so we can be our authentic selves and set people straight on the record straight on what needs to get done sounds like the formula. Did I hear that right? Yeah, right. So I want to come back a little bit about, it's not a question, it's a surprise question, because we're having a conversation, ladies. Can we talk a little bit about the mean girling? And do we that still exists today? Because I do honestly feel like, again, and Pat, I'm going to start with you with this one if it's okay. When we were in a place where there was not a lot of us, we cannot afford to mean girl. Yeah. Right? But do you have any insight on why that exists and how we can move forward? Also from a generational perspective as well. I would love to hear that from you.
Well, I think when I was coming up back in the day.
You ain't that old, you're 21.
No, I mean there weren't a lot of women, and it was almost like you're saying the crabs in the barrel. So, you're the only one, or you're the favorite one, and somebody's coming up that she wants to take your place, and you really may not have wanted that, but it was one of those things where there was a little jealousy. It was also, I earned this, you have to earn yours, instead of bringing that person along and helping them and showing them and mentoring them. Yeah. Well, I learned how to do this on my own, so you figure it out. And then, it was just one of those things. Yeah.
Do you think we can change it, ladies? Do you think we can
I think it's changed. I think it's changed a lot, because now we're helping each other. It's not so much the jealousy, it's supporting. And everybody on this stage and, the people in the audience, like, oh, did you know so-and-so did so-and-so? Let's celebrate her. You're posting about it. You're bragging about that person. And I don't see the jealousy as much anymore.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is definitely, we're turning a corner. I wouldn't say it's necessarily perfect. I think it depends on what stage you sit in your career. I think when you are perhaps maybe a 20-something trying to, fresh out of college or, jumping in the industry, you kind of feel like I have to shine. But I think as you get older and more mature and have more experiences, you realize that there's strength in numbers. I have a great group of girlfriends that work in the entertainment industry, and we all connect, share information. It's not, this is mine, I'm not going to share it, But I think that comes with maturity. Yeah, exactly. And I've been also very fortunate enough to have mentors, female mentors in the music industry. And I ask a lot of questions. I'm super curious. And I've asked, what was it like during your time? And understanding that at that particular time, there was just one, and that now that things have changed, well, let's not repeat that. let's change that and evolve that, you know. And I think we're getting there. There's still some work to do in terms of like opening the doors for more women. But in terms of women supporting each other, it is turning a corner.
Do you see there's a lot happening with the sports as well?
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I've learned is that it's important for us to celebrate the successes of each other. And so we've actually created within the NFL, it's the Black Employees Network, which when I first started working in the NFL, I was not only the only woman, but oftentimes the only Black person in the administration. And so having the opportunity to see it grow to where it is today, now all of a sudden we need to make sure that we have a responsibility to make sure those people prosper, right? And so trying to figure out what it is that we can do to pull other people up. Early on, I will be honest with you, being that person, you didn't know why you were that person, but you didn't want to, do anything to possibly get you out of there, and jeopardize your space. Exactly. And so, yeah, there was a lot of, if they interviewed another Black person, what does that mean for me? Maybe you didn't say it, but you thought it. It was obvious, right? And now I think because we are in a position, having been there so long, like it's my responsibility to make sure that I am mentoring and reaching out and assisting and helping anyone that I can in the industry that has interest, so that it no longer is part of the conversation.
Well, what you said is real about it. The intention is not to mean girl or to block out. But when you realize that they only choose one and you got the golden ticket, it's almost like, okay, what happened to my golden ticket?
Yeah.
Is my time running out and now I have to? So, again, what I'm hearing is there's a responsibility. So now we're in these seats. We have to create, who said that? Like, we have to create a table. I want a table. Make my own table. I'm not trying to get your seat, right? And I think actually one of the things she didn't call out, Tina called out, but she's doing so great that other associations are calling her, like the NBA and the NBL, and I think, Major League Baseball. And I think that's huge because what I hear her say is that there's an opportunity for her to create a table. Like, if it's not her, there's somebody who can do what she does, and she has the power to empower someone else and another space to be a pioneer. So I think that's just really, really awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that, I'm going to go into our next question. A good segue. I talked earlier about how, we're dedicated to stories untold. And we are sitting in a place where there's just so many wonderful women we can look up to. And so can all of you share maybe a story of who professionally or personally have inspired you? And what was so special about that person?
I'll start.
Okay.
It's so funny because that's a common question, right? Who inspires you? I am, and when I was growing up back in Memphis, Tennessee, in Orange Mound, if you know what Orange Mound is, it is one of the first historically Black communities in the U.S. created solely for and by Black people. And so I take a great pride in saying that I'm from Orange Mound in Memphis, Tennessee. But I was surrounded by all these great women, right, who had so many successes and great stories and journeys and hardships, and they overcame it. And I'm a product of that. I saw all of that, and I'm just kind of this big melting pot of all of these people. When I was growing up, a Black woman could be a teacher or a nurse or a hairstylist. Those were their three options. And all the women in my family fall in those categories, right? But they take such great pride in it, and they taught me that. They didn't hide the truth from me. And so oftentimes when we think of role models or people that we look up to who have taught us things along the way, we think of celebrity because that's what's in the media. But when I think of the Black women I have in my life, from my mothers to my mother, my grandmother, my aunts, my cousins, my sisters, my sister friends, the people who I've met along the way who are doing great things. Again, I try to take something from each one of them and think, how is that applicable to my life? How can I improve on who I am? And then when I'm inspiring, encouraging, and mentoring young ladies, what of me can I give to them?
I'd like to say, I know I was thinking like, wow, who has inspired me? I mean, women that I've met along my journey has inspired me. Of course, my mom is one of the hardest working women I know, and she's definitely had my back since I wanted to start being in entertainment, sixth grade, I think it was, yeah. And but I'm thinking, as you know, inspiration for me that has elevated me was my choice to surrender in Christ, and I think that choice changed my direction in life. It, gave my name a new meaning. It gave me a second chance in life. He just, I surrendered. I started praying to him. He just gave me instructions. I was obedient, and because of that obedience, 32 years later, I'm everywhere working with the kids. I mean, I say it and it manifests. And so, my inspiration has been surrendering to God.
Amen.
I don't have a particular story, but I'm, like Tina, where there are so many people along the way, along the journey. So, of course, my mom, with work ethic I get from her. And there's a lady named Regina Jones who started Soul Magazine in her 20s with 5 children. And I'm thinking, in the 60s, where she had vendors and advertisers who were probably trying to figure out, this young girl cannot be in charge. There's got to be a guy, behind it somewhere, and probably not listening to her. And she persevered, so I get that from her. And then Sylvia Rohn. Sylvia is definitely inspiration in that she taught me organization and accountability. And then I have friends who, as I saw them manifest their vision, and I just love that. The fact they came up with an idea, and they worked at it, and they made it happen. And years later, it's bigger than ever. So you have Deanna Williams with Black Music Month, and Sheila Eldridge with Cafe Mocha, and Sheila Coates with Be Your Own Brand, Ava DuVernay with Array, and Yvette Moyo with Moby. And I mean, it goes on. And I know I'm forgetting someone, but there have just been so many. And just watching their journey has been inspirational for me.
Amazing. It goes without saying, my mother, who is a Fish Jubilee singer. So I'm going to say that. And one reason in particular, besides being my mother and a great mother, an example is that she's always encouraged me to blaze my own trail. And I've been really kind of drum, and I really thank her for always supporting me to do what my heart tells me to do. And then along the way, professionally, I would say all the women that I've worked with in the music industry, that I've interned for, like a Lynn Scott over here, I really, truly learned what it meant to be a leader and to support other people that are interns. Like when I was an intern, I never felt like an intern. I mean, even if I was going to get coffee or food, but I never felt like I was here. You know what I mean? And I really appreciate people like Lynn who were willing to, just say like, no, just work hard, and you will get rewarded. And then the last person I would say for me that really helped springboard my career is LaRonda Sutton. And I remember reading Sister to Sister magazine by Jamie Foster, and I was working for a woman named April Love, and there was an Office with a View article. And it talked about, it was just different highlights. And I was reading about this woman who was the vice president of Edmunds Music Publishing and was going to Universal Music Publishing and was bi-coastal. And I was like, wait, you can do that? And I had never seen anything like that. And one day I was answering the phone from my boss, and LaRonda Sutton called. And I was like, oh, my God, because I left the magazine out. Like, it was on my desk. And I'm like, I'm going to meet this lady one day. I don't know how, when. Listen. And she called, and I was like, oh, my goodness. And I was like, hi, how are you? And she's like, I'm fine. Going to talk to your boss. Right. But she had to keep calling. And I made sure that I was on it every single time she called. And how can I be helpful? And one day I just had the courage, and I said, I read your article. and I would love to meet you. I want to learn from you. And she said, come to my house. And I said, wait, what? And I was a junior in college at Spelman College, and I went to her house and I told her about my dream. Hey, Spelman! And I told her about my dreams, and she supported me, and she said, "Come work with me." And I worked for her management company, All of a Sudden Management, and I worked with LaRonda all the way up until college, up until my senior year of college, and when I was about to graduate, she said, well, what are you going to do after you graduate? And I said, I don't know. I'll figure it out. Like, I'm just trying to graduate. I'll figure that out. I said, but I do want to work in this music business. Like, you've shown me and you've supported me, and I know I can do this. Next thing I know, I'm in class at Morehouse, and I get a two-way page from her, and she goes, when you graduate from college, you'll have a job at Def Jam Records. Yeah. And so that is women supporting women. Yeah. And 2 weeks later, after graduating from Spelman College, I started my first job out of the music, postgraduate at Def Jam Records, and it was all because of her. And so I owe her everything because she really believed in me and took a chance on me. And so I make sure that whenever I step into any job, any room, any situation, that I make sure that I know that I'm representing her, because she's the first person to take a chance on me, in post, college years.
Oh, wow. Yeah. All right. I don't even know where to go from there. Wow.
Wish?
Yes.
There, speaking about interns, there's an organization called Yes to Jobs. And a lot of us came up there, not us, but some of us were mentors. And the most famous person who came up is Ethiopia, who's now the president, chairman, CEO of Motown Records. But she started out as a Yes to Jobs intern. And they're starting Yes to Jobs up again because they understand that kids can't be what they don't see. So, yeah. But, one of the things we did at Warner, which I agree with you about, is that we would take on their lunch hour, we would take all the interns and take them into the conference room and have them listen to the music that we're out here trying to promote, or look at the artwork, or how do we reach you? How do we reach, you're the customer. How are we going to reach the people that are your age instead of us dictating, what we think you're going to want? And one of the things we also told them is don't be afraid to talk to adults. Okay, so you're 16 and you think that, adults are up here and you're down here, but you're not. They want to brag about themselves. So, ask them, hey, can I come to your office after hours and ask you some questions about how you got here and whatever. Because I want to do such and such. What are the steps I need to do?
Amen. So much goodies up here, a lot of gems. And it's funny, we actually have, shout out to Sony. We're creating a program with Sony about that, because sometimes it's about opportunity. And that program is that we're creating a program where we're taking Sony executives as well as a music curriculum, and we're creating a certification for students to get certification in black music business. And that's huge, yes. So shout out to Sony for underwriting that. And we're really excited about that as an institution. For that reason, thank you. For that reason, because it is about exposure. And what we realize is many faces we see in music entertainment business, there was really never a space where you can learn about the business of music. And so the marriage of putting an institution like NAMAM together that's sitting on all this information about it, and then wonderful executives at Sony like Azim, who was here earlier, who killed it, by the way, who did that, and they just have this knowledge and being able to mentor and pass on together. We will be very intentional about creating a program and a certification that makes sure that there's some exposure and opportunities that are happening. And so just wanted to say that as a shout out to that, because I think, to your point, Ms. Pat, there are a lot of programs and we don't know about them. And then also, someone else said there's another gem. We don't know what we're not exposed to. And one of the things that I know that I'm really passionate about is those careers that are not your traditional careers. So I tell people all the time, if I could do it differently, I would score music. I didn't know scoring music was a thing, right? I'm playing these instruments, and I was told either play the instrument or sing, or, nurse, teacher, doctor, lawyer. But I didn't know you can score music for video games, for movies, for commercials. Like, that's a real job. Someone gets paid for going, ding. Yeah, that sounds good. Put that in there. But think about it. have you ever watched something and there's no music bed behind it? Everything you watch has a music bed under it. That's someone's job, right? And so there are so many different things. And to that, I'm going to my next question, which I think is really important. Since we're talking about it, and I lost it, but it's okay. I know what it is. The question was around, this is our last round. If you could write a letter to your 18-year-old self and to just tell her something really special that she needs to know to move forward, can you share a little bit about what you would say?
18-year-old self, let's see.
Dear Yolanda.
Dear Yolanda, stop it. You're too much. Stop. Okay. I would probably, tell myself to listen, shut up, basically, listen more. I would tell myself that you can't win unless you fail at trying. I would tell myself to stop lying to myself, because other people are not going to tell you the truth. The truth is you, and so you have to learn to live within your truth if you want to be great. And when you lie, you're only tricking yourself. In order to succeed, you have to do the work. And that's why when you were talking about, I know to get off, but when you were talking about the maturity, it's a part of the maturity phase in life. I would tell myself, don't leave your mom. Take your mom with you. She might be a little wild and crazy, but you'll grow together and you'll appreciate it later. Let her embarrass you early and y'all will mature together. And I'd probably tell myself, stop quitting. Keep going. Just keep going. Stop quitting. I'd make a plan. And I would tell myself to be nice to myself. Don't be so hard on myself. And last but not least, let's see, I would probably tell myself that I love myself a little bit more. I would tell myself to enjoy it. It's okay. Enjoy it. People like you. You're okay. You don't have to impress people so hard. They like you. And those who don't know you. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Thanks.
I would tell myself that words have power, especially the words that you say to yourself. So that you don't have to be perfect. I'm a recovering perfectionist, and some of the people who know me are going to say, "Are you recovering?" You were worse? Yes. So it doesn't have to be perfect the first time. So go ahead and make the first step and try it, instead of thinking you have to wait until everything is together before you can start. So I would say that. I would also, I would say you don't have to wait for somebody to validate you, because if you may have an idea, and just because it hasn't been done before doesn't mean it wasn't a good idea. Maybe you were the one that was supposed to bring it to life. And so instead of waiting, just start. And I remember I had an assistant who gave me a card that said, "On the journey to be the best, don't forget to be." And I was embarrassed because I was the perfectionist and I was supposed to be so, but she saw that I was not enjoying. I was just doing and wanting to be the best that there was, and I wasn't enjoying. So I would say enjoy.
Wow. Right. I mean, first of all, where do I take those classes for the recovering perfectionism?
You know she's still recovering.
To that point, I think what I would tell my 18-year-old self is to enjoy the journey, enjoy the process. wanting to just get to the finish line, you miss the experience. So I would tell myself to enjoy the process, enjoy the experience, and to trust myself more. Trust myself more.
Okay. It's interesting because many of the mistakes I've made in my life were trying to live up to someone else's expectations. And so, in thinking about that question, I think about a conversation I had with my 23-year-old son. So you find inspiration anywhere, right? And I had a conversation with my 23-year-old son. I was out of town. He's so mad right now that I'm even bringing up his presence. But I was out of town most recently, and we were on the telephone, and he said, "What makes you feel alive?" And so I thought about that question, what makes you feel alive? And I couldn't answer that question. And anyone who knows me knows that I am never at a loss for words. And so in this one instance, I was at a loss for words. And so we got off the phone, and I come home, and I asked him to explain what that meant, right? And so what I learned is understanding your why, taking the time to figure out who you are, what's important to you, cutting out the noise, and truly being honest and open and transparent with self. And so if I were sitting with little 18-year-old Tina who is trying to navigate this life, I wouldn't be so concerned with my friends who are graduating and they have a plan, and, my sisters they all seem to have it figured out. When you're 18, everybody around you seems to have it all figured out. And if you don't, then something must be wrong, right? And so if I were talking to my 18-year-old self, I would ask myself the question that my 23-year-old son asked me: what makes me truly feel alive? I would find that answer, and that's the direction I would go.
Okay. I don't think there's anything else left to say after that. That's a mic drop. I don't want to because it's gonna hurt your ears, but yeah. So this has been amazing, ladies. Thank you so much. It has been a blessing. It's so many gems have been dropped on the stage. I want to thank you for all being inspirations to me and extremely supportive. I am very blessed because there are a number of people in the audience, from my tribe in the back there to my staff, to some other women that I've met along this journey. I want to thank you because, we cannot be if it was not for those people who are surrounding us. On behalf of the National Museum of African American Music, thank you for being part of this story and this moment in time. And with that, can everyone join me in thanking these ladies and giving them a round of applause? Yes, give them their flowers. Flowers. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you.